Why is early retirement like an emotional roller coaster? Everyone talks about the financial aspects of early retirement or retirement in general, but few are ever prepared for the range of emotions that you will experience when you first retire. We are Chris and Michael, and if you've been following our channel, you know that about a year ago, we quit our jobs to retire early and travel the world. As a couple, we weren't prepared for the range of emotions, and I have a PhD in clinical psychology, and it meant nothing. I still wasn't prepared. We've been sharing the stories of what we learned during our extended slow travel, but we've never mentioned until now what it's felt like emotionally to make this transition. We want to share our emotional journey with you in case you find yourself in a similar situation. While we weren't totally prepared, perhaps this will help you to be. What's important to know is that retirees do not adjust all at once. Instead, retirement happens in emotional stages. And it's kind of like a roller coaster, with all of its exhilarating and scary ups and downs. No two retirement experiences are exactly the same, but it's probably safe to say that you will feel the mix of emotions that we describe here. The emotional state that surrounds quitting the rat race early is not a straight line. It's a mixture of emotions, just like this roller coaster. You are going to be happy and excited some of the time, but also worried and ask yourself what the heck you're doing other times. We certainly experienced that. Stage 1 is anticipation. You are at the end of the planning stage for your retirement and have decided that you are finally ready to go for it. You have set your retirement date and will announce it. In other words, it's at this point that you are getting in the queue and planning to get into that roller coaster car. There are plenty of books and YouTube videos out there to tell you about the financials, so we are going to assume that you have that in order. Emotionally, the anticipation and excitement is starting to build as you imagine what it will be like telling your friends and family about your plan for retirement and telling your job that it's time to break up and say goodbye. You, along with your spouse perhaps, experience joy while looking at maps and YouTube videos covering all the exotic locales you plan to visit once your time is all yours. Michael and I would talk for hours about all the travel plans we had, and you've seen many of those come to fruition in videos over the past year. This stage is a good time and you can't wait for the big day. I even downloaded a countdown timer app onto my phone so that I could be reminded every day of how close I was, and I relished it. The closer and closer you get to that date, however, you start to shift into a different emotional phase. It's going to be an unexpected one for many, but it's okay. It's a common feeling. It's the apprehension stage. The roller coaster car is ticking slowly up and you are almost at the top where you know you will take the plunge. In other words, OMG, am I really going to do this? The closer and closer you get to giving notice to your company, your anxiety level will build. At this point, we all ask ourselves these questions. Am I doing the right thing? Am I letting my coworkers down? Will this truly work out, or will I become bored, broke, and destitute? As I think back to the days and weeks before I gave my company notice, I got more and more nervous because I knew I still had a way out. I could change my mind and go back to business as usual, and nobody would know any different. Don't get me wrong though, being nervous or scared is a good thing. It's a primal feeling that has kept humans relatively safe since the beginning of time. It keeps you focused and constantly scanning the environment for hazards. It keeps us from doing stupid things. Our advice is to be prepared for this emotional stage. Have a written list of decision points that you initially use to make the decision in the first place. It will give you reassurance about the financials you went over that let you know you were prepared for this. Make sure it also has a list of those hobbies and trips and other things that you had always planned to do in retirement and will now get a chance to fulfill. Refer back to it as often as you need. Be reminded that you have thought this through. All your ducks are in a row and you've got this. Let it give you peace and bring the apprehension down. Apprehension is at its highest point the day of giving your notice, but it begins a swift decline once the cat is out of the bag. The drop on the roller coaster is fast, but it is exhilarating. You are entering a stage of elation.
I felt more at ease than ever right after I gave my notice. I was fully committed and there was no turning back.
There will be parties and celebrations, pats on the back for a job well done. Everyone will say how envious they are of you.
It's an amazing time and you will love it. But the thing is, it doesn't last long.
The drop of the roller coaster is swift, but it levels out quickly and takes you on a bit of a swerve that you won't be expecting. After a short time, you will ask, "So is this it?" A feeling of disenchantment may come in this phase. It's stronger for some, more than others. It might come soon after giving notice, but it usually waits until the first weeks after you've officially retired and are at home. It comes for a lot of different reasons. You may be feeling vulnerable because you have lost your work identity. You might be footloose and fancy-free, but being the expert and beating deadlines gave you identity and purpose. At the same time, your support system may be reduced. Long-term colleagues that you could always chat with at the real or virtual water cooler are not there anymore.
You can call them, but you might find that they're working and don't have time to chat with retired folk.
Retirement can be a time of dealing with grief and loss.
You're going to have to give yourself a good nudge and push yourself into the next phase of your emotional journey.
Afternoon naps and Netflix binging can be nice at first, but you will need to introduce new activities in order to reorient and rebalance yourself. Our advice is to acknowledge to yourself that you have been experiencing loss and will need to let go of some things that used to be part of your life. But have at the ready a list of things that you are going to have that will give you a new sense of purpose and joy. In our opinion, there are two things that are the absolute best things that you can do that will help with the reorientation. The first is to get physical. It really helped Michael and I. Physical activity, whether it be traditional exercise in the gym or short outdoor walks, or slightly physically taxing hobbies like gardening, can do wonders to get you off the couch and to feel alive again. The second is to do something creative. Creativity opens the mind. It helps motivate you. It helps you feel productive, and it boosts your confidence in so many different ways.
It could be painting, writing, or creating YouTube videos like we did. Just create something.
In this phase, the roller coaster has settled and you are starting to make the approach back to the station. Once you've arrived back at the station, you've reached a level of acceptance for your new life. You remember why you made the decision to retire in the first place, and you have successfully built a new routine for yourself. The fear and apprehension have long dissipated. They may likely rear their ugly little heads every now and again, but you have learned the tools necessary to keep them at bay. There may be some trial and error in this stage. You may abandon some activities that you thought were working but didn't quite do it for you and switch to other things.
But the important thing is you aren't fighting the process anymore.
You are free to depart the roller coaster car now. That ride is over and the real journey begins.
At this stage, you can honestly say that you are leading a meaningful life.
You most definitely can get there. What does fulfillment look like? Well, it's different for everyone, but there are some key characteristics that you can build towards. You have built a new support network. Most of your work colleagues are probably no longer in your life anymore, but there might be one or two who have stayed with you as lifelong friends. Most likely, you have created new bonds with your spouse or extended family. You probably have an extended network of new friends that you have met through new hobbies and travels. You are growing as a human being. Through your new hobbies, you have picked up new skills, learned new things from your travels, or created something through your hobbies and passions. You are becoming your authentic self. All these new experiences will bring you a new level of peace. You will be able to reflect thoughtfully on the good and bad times in your life and the path you took to get here. You will have a better perspective on who you are and who you still want to be. You will be less afraid to try new things and test the waters. It's going to be a wild ride, but it's going to be worth it.
We are loving retirement and we have no regrets. We made it through the process and you can too. You've got this.
Watch this video to see what's next on our adventures and check out our customizable merchandise store. See you soon!